This is the IFB Thursday night broadcast.
That's gonna work great, man. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome, everybody. We got guys jumped on right away, of course. It's season 6 of IFB Interfleet Broadcasting. It's our award-winning pop culture, sci-fi, news and entertainment channel. I'm NYPete. I'm here, of course, with my best buddy, Chris the Tipsy Toaster. We are your hosts, and we're going to bring you our unique twist from growing up watching some of the best TV and movies and great stuff like the comic books and cartoons that we grew up with in, 70s, 80s, and then a little bit of the 90s as well. But, all that good stuff that was on TV and out there and, novels and comic books and even the conventions. We grew up with that stuff and we bring it to you. And, we're big Battlestar Galactica fans. So there you are. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Tipsy Toaster. How are you?
I'm a robot of many words.
That's right.
By your command.
What are you? We have a great show today. We have Bert's Battle Briefing. We got John 1. We have Steve Donoso and The Shadow. And then, of course, we have Steve Sears coming back, talking more about all the great things that he has done in the past. He was previously on another show and did one heck of an interview. And now he's back to tell us more. So we got him coming on. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a great time.
Plano, Texas, here we come. Okay, cool. Looks
Cool.
Like I got
All
a
right.
few people going. Hi, let's get Bert on since Bert's here. Might as well get Bert on.
Let's get him on. And I know he's got something to drink. I don't know if John 1 might. I don't know if he's got anything.
Is John here?
Yeah, he's got something to drink too. He's ready.
Yapping somewhere. Let me go bring back John up now because I don't see him.
All right, cool. Well, you're the master of all of the switches. In the meantime, I will just recognize some names before we toast. We do a toast in the beginning of the show. I'm going to buy some time for Tipsy to do his magic. But Lola's with us, thanks, and of course Commander Kane and Rick Moreno, award-winning sci-fi author. Thanks for tuning in. Great guy.
You better get your thingy out. You're not doing it right.
I got it. I have it. Hey, Professor Patton is with us too. That is so cool. Thank you for joining us, Professor. I see everybody. I see everything, right? Let's see. Great to be back, of course. Erica Riley, thank you. Chris Marshall, we have a special presentation that Chris Marshall has made for us. Well, stay tuned. A little commercial spot. Really, really cool. A lot of fun, showcasing the talent that's out there and amongst us, which is very cool. Really happy to show that off. I have some things, some items that I want to show off as well that are Battlestar Galactica related, of course. Chris Laskowski from Down Under, thank you for joining us. Appreciate all of you. And while we wait for the Tipsy Toaster to bring everybody on for our toast, I want to show you something that I was very lucky to pick up. I don't know how many of you have an autograph.
Check out that tie.
Isn't that cool?
Wow.
Baltar himself, John Clicos, got this from a collector's wife. Thank you very much for sharing, a past collector's collection of Battlestar Galactica items. And so I got in touch with her.
Yes, we know.
And so
quite the tie,
I got
though.
that. That's really, yeah, it is. It's really cool. It's the only one they had, right? I didn't care. It's John Clicos. Getting an autograph from him is really hard. And I picked this up, the Battlestar review. and it's
Not to be confused with the Battlestar Review.
This is the battle. This is the other one is Battlestar Review. This one's
No, the other one's the.
See this one? This one's
the and the. There's two different ones.
No, the other one doesn't have a the before in front of it.
I think that's the one.
This is the
one. Is that
the other
one or the one?
No,
there's three
the other
of them
one is
now.
just Battlestar Review.
There's three of them now. I know there is.
There's definitely another one because I have it. The other one I got is just Battlestar Review.
I think that's one of the ones I gave you. I can't remember. I had a bunch. It's the
you did.
version.
Yeah, you did. You gave me a
version,
couple of the. It's just Battlestar Review. This one's the Battlestar Review. This is a really cool one. So I will open this up on another
but
show.
If you can find the Battlestar Review, it is even harder to find.
Harder than this one?
Harder to find than the Battlestar Review is extremely hard to find.
This is the Battlestar Review.
No, that's the. You just told me it was the.
And the other one is not. The other one is Battlestar Review. You're confusing your circuitry, man.
There's three. There's three then, right?
There's two. Oh, wow. Your math is off, too. I'm worried about you now. I'm going to have to reprogram you. Anyway.
So we're good. We'll get started here. Everybody, thanks for showing up. We do this every Thursday, unless it's something weird comes up, and then we'll maybe do it on Wednesday. Sometimes we have that. Oh, look at that. Oh, writer's tears. Yes.
Oh, that's what we need. There you go.
Yep. That's going to be super strong. What is that? What's in that? That's is that like water? Or is that actual
It's
vodka?
like water. Yes. It's the watered down.
And it's salty.
Well, I have Gun and Ice Planet Zero again.
Oh my God, there's a lot of food. There's a lot of dye in that. But anyway, here we go, guys.
A lot of colonials dying in this, yes.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, thank you for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate you. And
what do you got, John?
Chris, come on. Give him the toast, man.
John, what's John got? John, what do you got?
I got Spider Bite Beer Company.
Oh boy,
Spider Imperial Stout, 10% alcohol.
Oh, there you go.
That's a spider.
I love stouts.
Never mind. Sorry, I'm gonna pass on that.
All right, everybody, thanks for coming. Hang in there. We've got a big show ahead of us. Today is March 5th, 2026. We always have to say that in here somewhere, Pete, because last time this was really a nightmare when I started doing the compendium.
Okay.
But anyway, so look at that. Ooh, that's as dark as my soul. I love it.
Excellent. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. We love the fans. We love doing this and sharing, and we appreciate you. Go ahead, go.
Thanks a lot. And here's to the fans, because the fans fuel the fleet.
Fuel the fleet.
Fuel the fleet.
I see there's a little bit of a product placement for the award-winning sci-fi author.
What?
Nice
Very
little...
subtle.
Very
subtle.
I like that name because it
Galactus.
sounds like...
Yes, the Galacticite merge. Right now, it is 1 out of 1, so it's a very limited edition.
I like the word galacticide because it sounds like you're killing the Galactica, so I'm all for
No, that's not what it is.
It's open for interpretation.
That's right.
That's right, Professor. See, that's why we have Professor Patton is with us, man. We could always refer to him. Chris Marshall, get ready, man, because we have a commercial that was produced by.
We have a sponsor tonight.
Yes, we have a sponsor. Let's
do
it.
One of our very first sponsors, by the way. We did have a sponsor a while back. Hopefully they come back. That was the Carillon Travel Bureau. This time we actually have another sponsor, and we have their video here. So don't forget to stop by and buy some of their product because they are supporting Interfleet Broadcasting. So here we go. This is the newest sponsor, Blood Action Figures.
Blood's Eastern Alliance collection. You can imagine Fleet Admiral Nyland commands Commandant Leiter to capture the Lunar 7 fugitive and make him lead them to the Western Nationalists. You can imagine the fugitive fears the Eastern Alliance and runs away.
Lanceman Krebs. Yes, Commandant. Prepare for a secret mission.
Each figure sold separately. Admiral Nyland, Commandant Leitner, Lunar 7 fugitive, and Krebs. Each figure sold separately. Not for use with Western Nationalist toys. Eastern Alliance toys. New from Blood.
That's great.
And they also gave me a code for that. It's Kill the Western Alliance. If you write that in their website, then you get an extra 10% off.
Yeah, that was really cool, man. That was funny. Now you got to make one for like the Ovions or something. That'd be really cool too. Wow.
I need him to remake. I actually need him to make the because I haven't had time to do it, to remake the actual Carillon Travel Bureau.
Yeah, that'd be fun too. So yes, very, very cool. Rob Baum is with us. Thank you, Rob, our unofficial fact checker. Mike DeBrune, thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate all of you dropping in. Let's see. I am somewhere in here. Is got to be George Giacomis. He's always somewhere in there. I know that he's there. So I just shout out George. Thanks for joining us. Yep, he's here. George G in the house. One of our production staff. Thank you very much. And one of the executive producers and the director of photography, DP for the Stranded Warrior and the Tower Protocol Resurrection. So George, thank you for doing what you do. Chuck Davenport's with us as well. Thank you, Chuck, for joining us. Another one
Chris
of our.
Chris is here. Hopefully you get to see that, Chris.
Oh yeah. Hope you. Yeah, Chris was on. I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah,
amazing.
And Chuck too. I think Chuck was part of that. He's part of the cabal that put that together. So thank you very much. We
Admiral
have
Nealon, I believe, is what the butcher of Paradine, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope Mediocre Modeler got to see that because that's awesome. That is just incredible, man. Good stuff. Very, very funny. Yeah, so we got good stuff, guys. It's all good. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna have a great show. Of course, we have John 1, followed by Bert's battle briefing, and then we have Steve Donoso, editor publisher of The Shadowed Circle, and he's got a new book coming out, a new one. So we'll talk about that to commemorate the 95th anniversary of The Shadow, and then that'll be followed by Steve Sears, who's a producer, writer, Hollywood TV, and he's coming around for another stint here on IFB. So that's great. We'll follow up. He's got some new stuff that he's going to talk about. So cool, all good, guys.
Awesome. Very cool.
All right, it's time. This just in.
How's the news, flashes, people? How you all doing today? We have a great show tonight, so I'll be quick. And we got some stuff coming up in coming attractions and the movies. So first up, we have in theaters tomorrow is The Bride. So directed by Megan Gyllenhaal. It's an outtake of the classic story Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, but this takes place in 1930s Chicago. I guess Frankenstein is a mobster, and he asks Dr. Euphorius to make him a companion. So this is some kind of gothic, punkish version of The Bride, where they go out and they shoot at people in 1930s Chicago. Whatever. All right. I'll wait for that the VOD comes in. So Christian Bale plays Frankenstein, and I forgot who the actress is who plays the Bride, but I saw previews of it, and I was like, well, they say it's good, so we'll see tomorrow. And and tomorrow on Netflix is War Machine. A bunch of Marine Rangers on a training, on the last day of training, finds a machine that tries to destroy them and hunts them down, and they try to survive. And let's see who wins, the machine or the Rangers. So tomorrow War Machine on Netflix tomorrow, so it should be good. I'm going to check that out tomorrow morning before work. So it should be a good show. And it's official now. Director Taika Waititi is to direct the next Judge Dredd movie. He also he directed Jojo Rabbit, directed a Thor movie, but Dredd is from a dark, gritty world. So please make the movie accordingly. That reflect it. Maybe have him face off against maybe Judge Death and the Dark Judges. We can only hope. So hopefully we'll find out down the road when he directs the movie. And after years of development, Blumhouse is finally rebooting Spawn, starring Jamie Foxx as Spawn. Should be out sometime next year. Jamie Foxx is a good actor. I can see him as playing Spawn. It should be fun. We'll see who plays Vindicator. We'll see who plays a couple other main characters from that series. So I'm looking forward to it. Anything with Spawn is good. So let's have that come out. And so sometimes we live through another action Venom movies. Now there's an animated Venom movie in production. Okay. Yay. I still can't get over now that Mary Jane is Venom in the comics in Spider-Man. She's the Venom character now. All right, whatever. So give other characters a chance, Marvel. Come on, make some more movies. Moving on. We have more Game of Thrones news out. No book. The book is still not ready yet, R.R. Martin. But they are developing a Game of Thrones movie from Andor writer Bo Williamson. So that's pretty good. So there's no specific facts about what it's going to be about. But what the movie should be about is probably rumored to be about Aegon the First Targaryen, the conquest of Westeros. It's when he brought the dragons over, so it's way in the history. So, okay, that'd be cool. But this is in production now, so probably won't be hearing about it for another year or so, a couple of years. So, hopefully it comes out when everyone's still interested in it. All right, Aegon's the one that created the Iron Throne and all that stuff. You guys read the books. Hopefully the book will be out before the movie is. Now, it's been 50 years since Star Wars hit the big screen. So to commemorate this, the original series of Star Wars will be shown on IMAX. We can only use our senior discounts to get into IMAX here because it's expensive to get in there. So hopefully sometime next year it'll be coming out. You can see the original series finally. No add-ons, nothing like that. And originally what we saw when we were kids when it first hit the theaters. So that should be good. And and Invincible Season 4 will be on Amazon March 18th. Okay, everybody, that's it for me. Enjoy the show. We got some good guests. I'm looking forward to Bert's Battlestar briefing, and you all have a good night.
Excellent, John. Thanks a lot. I'm looking forward to some of those shows as well. Hey, Battlestar Bulletin Board is with us. Thank you for joining, Sean. Appreciate you. So yeah, man. Next time you come on, John, we're going to talk a little bit about. I'm going to be seeing some of those as well. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll catch up because I want to hear more about your convention trip as well. So
yeah, we had a good time down there, and I'm glad Lola got my package. So she's going to Texas tomorrow. She's going to Plano. So
excellent.
Give out our goodies, and I'll try to get some interviews. So
thank you, Lola. I still working on a project for you. Yes, but thank you, Lola. And all right, guys. Well, John, thank you for doing what you do, man. You are awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Take care, sir. And
all right,
here's to you. Fans for the
the original cut is going to be great. I'm definitely going to be getting tickets to go and seeing that. Taking a family, it's going to be quite the experience.
I could taste through the screen there, John. I would drink in that.
I think Bert, you're up, man.
Well, thanks, Sean,
now we need another thing
for the
Bert,
list
like,
of the new stuff. Judge Dredd is going to be interesting. It's been quite a while since the last one, but the last one was really good. So this is going to be an uphill battle. I mean, that was just an awesome version of it. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for that. I'm taking notes here. And I'm up. Hello, Fleet. Welcome back to Bert's Battle Briefing. Always great to be here. And today we're going to return to the space battles of Battlestar Galactica. And if you remember back how these battles were portrayed, they often come down to a very similar visual. You got colonial Viper pilots launching from the Battlestar in this very iconic launch sequence, and they dive into combat and engage waves and waves of Cylon Raiders. So today it's about the Vipers versus Raiders and what's behind it. So in these scenes, we often see Starbuck, Apollo weaving through enemy formations and firing at raiders one by one. And the camera is always with the Viper or switches to the cockpit. Many times the focus is on the pilot. In those scenes aren't just cool scenes. I think they also showcase two very specific philosophies of warfare. On the one hand, you have the colonials, skilled fighter pilots, individuals, different personalities, reputation within the fleet. And on the other side, you have the Cylons, identical machines, flying very cool-looking fighters, but there are no outstanding individual pilots. They act as a part of a larger mechanical system. In other words, the space battles, the fighter-to-fighter battles represent the question, are those kind of conflicts decided by the extraordinary individual or by a big industrial system? And if we look at the history of actual historical air combat, we can see that both models have been tried. At first, I think the colonial Viper pilot fits almost perfectly into the historical tradition of the fighter ace. This tradition begins in the skies over Europe during World War I. And aircraft were still kind of simple machines at the time. They were relatively slow. They were very lightly armed. They often fought in very small groups, or sometimes just individual fighters or scouts, as they were called. And that meant that combat often became something very close to a personal duel, to a one-on-one fight. In one of the most famous pilots of the era here was Manfred von Richthofen. He's in the plane that you see on this old picture with his comrades from his squadron. He was known as the Red Baron because he, not exclusively, but at his peak, flew bright red aircraft. And that was kind of a bold decision in a war where camouflage was first really tried out at a large scale. And even the squadron shown here became known as the Flying Circus, partly because all their aircraft were brightly painted. And so technically those colors violated the conventional wisdom of camouflage that did quite the opposite. These war machines really stood out on the sky. But Richthofen and his comrades understood something important, that morale and reputation also matter in conflict. So his aircraft became a kind of a flying symbol, inspiring his own pilots, but also intimidating his enemies. He scored 80 aerial victories, which was a lot, astonishing for his time. But he wasn't alone. There were other famous aces. There was René Fonck, who actually finished the war with 75 confirmed victories. He was also known to be an extremely precise pilot, and he was the highest scoring ace to survive the war. Edward Mannock, who developed tactical doctrines for attacking enemy aircraft. Billy Bishop, who was a bit of a crazy man. He flew mostly solo, so pretty much all of his missions were solo flights. That's just how he liked it. And so these pilots became sort of national celebrities. The newspapers followed their victories. The aircraft carried personal insignia. Their reputation became kind of weapons in their own right. In this environment, encouraged a certain kind of personality, aggressive, individualistic, and sometimes even rebellious. So in other words, I think people like Starbuck would have fit right in with that group. Now, 20 years later, in World War II, ace culture did not disappear right after World War I. In fact, it became even more pronounced in the early years of World War II. So there were several pilots who achieved enormous victory counts. The two guys shown on the left picture, Erich Hartmann and Gerhard Barkhorn, they have a combined total of 650 plus aerial victories. In comparison, that's pretty much every fighter plane the British had at the beginning of the Battle of Britain. So these guys downed an entire air force just by themselves. Saburo Sakai was one of the most famous pilots in the Pacific War. And all these pilots flew hundreds of combat missions. Unlike Allied pilots who were typically rotated out after a tour of duty, the German and the Japanese pilots, they just kept them at the front, sometimes for years. So that allowed them, or forced them, to accumulate enormous numbers of aerial victories. And so these pilots again became celebrities. Their aircraft got personal insignia, personal markings, and their stories circulated widely among the fellow pilots, but also enemy pilots. Their presence could influence the morale of entire squadrons. In many ways, the Viper pilots of Battlestar Galactica, I think they tried to reflect this kind of culture of the individualism, the bravery, and a little bit of the rebellious element as well. So the ace culture encouraged this behavior, and it encouraged behavior that sometimes bent the rules. On the left, you have a rare image of the actual flying circus in color. So the von Richthofen's unit got orders to camouflage their planes, and they should apply different color schemes in different patterns. And the pilots were outraged by this. They felt it was ungentlemanly to try to hide. So they followed the orders, but they painted their aircraft in the way they're shown here. So yeah, it was not much of camouflage, but they got away with it because they were a successful bunch. So they just let them do it. And they were supposed to follow orders like other military personnel, but they were given a lot of leeway. And once they were in the air, you couldn't really hold them back. So this freedom sometimes produced creative, occasionally very unconventional decisions. Another example comes from World War II, involving one of the pilots shown earlier, Erich Hartmann. So he scored 352 victories by himself, and he had a very specific insignia on his plane, the black tulip, as it's shown here on the model. And this black tulip was often painted on rookie planes because enemy pilots would shy away from aircraft carrying this insignia. So it gave rookie pilots the crucial first couple of missions they would actually survive. Most combat pilots would still be shot down during their first or second mission. So once they had accumulated 3, 4, 5 sorties, they would become more seasoned. So it was used to basically increase the survival rate of new pilots. So it was a clever, slightly unofficial tactic, exactly the kind of improvisation that ace culture produced. So stories like that illustrate, I think, the deeper culture of fighter aviation. It's a mixture of discipline, skill, and sometimes a little bit of rule bending, ingenuity. And with rule bending, again, we feel immediately Starbuck would have fit right in. As the war progressed, however, the nature of air combat began to change. Instead of small groups of fighters dueling in the sky, air warfare became increasingly a matter of industrial scale. Massive bomber formations crossed Europe, radar networks tracked aircraft across entire countries, factories produced aircraft in staggering numbers. The United States alone produced more than 300,000 aircraft during World War II. And little side fact here, the aircraft factories shown on this picture here, this is Consolidated Aircraft. It's down in San Diego where I live. And these big factory buildings are still visible. They still stand today. You can see them every day when you drive up or down Interstate 5. You'll drive past this. So the scale was enormous. I think 24,000 B-24 were assembled in these two factories down there. And at that scale, war was no longer decided primarily by individual pilots. They were decided by training systems, by logistics, by manufacturing capacity. And in a way, that's kind of the warfare the Cylons represent. The fighters are interchangeable. Their pilots are identical machines. If one raider is destroyed, another raider will displace it. The system that's put in place continues. And that brings us back to Battlestar Galactica. So the colonials represent very much the ace warfare. The skilled individuals fighting against overwhelming odds. The Cylons, in a way, represent this industrial warfare, the relentless systems replacing losses without hesitation. We have to admit, of course, as much as we like or dislike it, historically, the industrial model definitely wins. From a storytelling perspective, and that's what Battlestar Galactica does. It tells us the story, something else happens. The ace warfare perspective is honestly just more compelling for storytelling because we, as viewers, readers, consumers of it, we instinctively connect with individuals. We want to follow a pilot in the cockpit. We want to hear the radio chatter, the banter with the fellow pilots. We want to see the moment where skill and courage make the difference. Because frankly, there are a lot more movies and books about the Red Baron than about the Boeing factories. Industrial systems win wars, but individuals make the stories that we remember. And I think that's exactly why the battles of Battlestar Galactica still resonate with audiences today, because behind every wiper, there's a pilot, and behind every pilot, there's a story. So factories may win wars, but the aces create the legends. And the legends are what we remember. This was Bert's Battle Briefing. Thank you, IFB, for having me. And here, the fans are legend.
Excellent. Well said. Great segment. Yes. So cool. It's really, really awesome. I got to tell you, Bert, I mentioned this once before on one of the shows that I was out of town. I got to listen to your battle briefing as a podcast. I didn't get to watch it, but I got to listen to it.
Right.
And I found that it was as good just listening to you narrate your presentation, your segment. It's phenomenal. So, when you get to see it as well, you bond those two, the visual with the audio. It's very, very good. Very well done.
Amazing.
And this is the kind of stuff that I wish as a kid after watching, Battlestar. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that your imagination always goes to. And we never had that, but thanks to you, we do now. So thank you so much for taking the time out to put that all together. I know that it pulls you a little, pulls you away from your book, your books and Galacticide and doing, some of the other things that we all do in our daily lives. But you're an award-winning sci-fi author and publisher. And thank you for being a part of IFB, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me for it. And you underestimate the fun factor in this. And also the research for the images is actually quite fun to find this kind of stuff. Some of the ones you saw today, I actually didn't know existed. I didn't know about the colorized one, or I was quite
really
happy
cool
to find the aerial view of the consolidated. Because from that era, this was highly restricted, right? You couldn't fly over. There was no photography allowed because it was all strategically important. So these are pretty rare. And the fact that they still exist today, they built drones there, so it's still being used for kind of the same purpose. Just the technology has advanced, so it's enormous fun to put it together. So again, thanks for letting me do it.
I love it, and I just wanted to mention. So Pete and I had this discussion earlier. We don't have enough time to go into this. What is considered canon and what's not considered canon in Battlestar Galactica, but if you read the book, I have a Quora here, by the way. I have uploaded all of this information into Quora.
Yes.
And if you read the book, you were talking about the aces and everything else. In the books, the Imperious leader was known as Ace of Aces. So he was an ace. And Volpa was also considered an ace in fighter combat before they were awarded their second brains. So
wow.
That's really kind of interesting information, because you're like, yeah, they had Ace of Aces too. They had aces as well. So, but I'm sure that was when it was...
There's a little pointer to it I found in the show where I think it's when on the attack of the Galactica, when they're not aware, the Cylon side is not quite aware yet that the Pegasus will also join the fun, and Baltar kind of leads the attack, which was for him kind of a bold move. And there was this kind of cool helmet that he was wearing. And my first thought of this was like, oh, they had a helmet ready for him in case he was on a Cylon raider. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe that was the point that, yeah, this man, there was more to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the book, it talks about how they communicate through the helmets like a web. So he had to wear the helmet to communicate with the other two there. But they always portrayed those guys as stupid, which always takes me off.
They kind of, they're limited. They're limited.
Even, one of the scenes is like, oh, when they're trying to do Baltar's escape and they're trying to use the Raider and the Cylons that they rebuilt.
Yeah,
they can't punching the thing. Come on.
He's discombobulated. What's the big deal? They couldn't put it back together. It's just a machine, man. Don't take it personal.
That's what I don't agree with. I think they're all lizards in armor.
Hey,
which it was supposed to be.
I watched that episode just a couple of days ago.
You were telling me about that. Yeah,
and actually, I watched it with my wife, who hasn't seen it since it first aired. She'd never seen it again.
Oh wow! That's one of those things you need to go like, what did you think of that? And put it on video. That would be amazing. She was watching and she reacted exactly the same as I remember reacting, and basically when they approached the idea of getting the Centurions and having them fly the Raider back to get to let Baltar escape, and they were in pieces, immediately you're like, they're gonna dress up as Cylons. And that's what she thought. My wife thought, was like, oh my god, they're gonna dress up as Cylons. And it was like, oh no, they're not gonna dress up, man.
Yeah,
that would have been so cool.
That was disappointing. And I can add to that. So I rewatched Galactica kind of recently-ish, maybe last year, with my youngest daughter, and she had the same reaction. She was like, they're gonna dress up as Cylons, don't they? So I think everybody was hoping for it. It was like, it's a great episode, but that part is a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, it was like, they needed to say that. Like the way I explained it was that their circuitry is fused to the outside, so you can't hollow it out. You can't it's not separate pieces. It's all fused together, and that's why they couldn't do it. But that was like the afterthought. It's like, oh, I wanted them to put it on. But anyway, so
you say that, but if you look at, and we can get into this later because we could be here all night talking about.
Yeah,
this,
no kidding.
I actually have the original scripts that were put together for Gun and Ice Planet Zero.
Yeah.
One of them is Crossfire, and another one I can't remember that off the top of my head. But in that one, they take the stuff off the lizard people.
Ooh.
And put it on themselves.
That's awesome. We got to revisit this.
Yeah.
Bert, thank you. Thank you so much. We will be in touch. Actually, I'm going to, Bert, if you don't mind, later on, I'm probably going to start pulling these out as snippets. So if that's okay with you, I mean, we're going to. It's great
Bert's battle briefing, and then we'll have try to do a 4x3 version. One of these,
so cool.
One of these versions,
Yeah, we're gonna be putting it out because I mean it's awesome. Everything we do is
everybody needs
so
to see
cool.
this more often. I mean, it's
absolutely.
It's great, so
it is worthy. It is absolutely worthy. Bert, here's to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Fleet. Always a pleasure.
Can't wait to get one of those mugs.
Oh man, this is so cool. So Erica Persiani is with us. Thank you live. I'm glad that you're feeling better. A component here of IFB, part of the team. So thank you for supporting and watching and producing your segment as well. James McCoy, Dale Adams, mediocre modeler. I hope you got to see that sponsored AI created
the
action figure commercial. Yeah. So that was parody. On, and it was, oh my God, it was so cool. Chris Marshall, I believe that Chuck was also involved in the creation of that.
And Chris Marshall said the challenge is accepted. I think what he said.
Oh, so he's going to do the Ovion?
Ovion.
Yeah.
Not
that's
the Ovion,
so cool.
But the Travel Bureau one.
Cool.
I have a script for you. I'll send it to you.
So Tipsy, I sent you an instant message. I need you to respond before we can make any other announcements, because there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, and we have to.
I always hate when I'm not included.
Tread lightly on how we approach this. Make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on. If that's the case, we, of course,
on this Saturday.
Yeah, this Saturday.
Why this Saturday? Yeah, it's free.
Yeah, it's free, but I don't know if we're gonna, do we announce it here or not? Or I didn't, we haven't even. This is live, happening live. We're making decisions.
This is what it looks like when Chris and Pete make decisions. I
don't know. No, not sure.
Flip a coin. I don't know.
We are going to.
We kind of want to keep that for
the Stranded Warrior.
Don't we want to keep that for like a July or June thing? And
that's you need to chime in on that. But want to make sure that we thank everybody for helping out, and thank everybody for supporting both our projects, the Stranded Warrior and the Tower Protocol Resurrection. We got confirmation from the Bratislava International Film Festival Film Awards.
I can't spell that, by the way.
We got, yes, it's you gotta, once you write it a few times, you'll get it. But we won best fantasy film from their film festival about a week ago, and I did put that up. So I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that, but thank you, because the Stranded Warrior and the Tower Protocol, are projects that we've undertaken that kind of bubbled up through you guys watching and supporting, and the family here and the family. So I just wanted to keep all you guys up to speed.
I'm a little late on the draw here, but
you got it. All right. Yeah. Now, so we have in the wings, in the green room, we have one of our guests.
All right. So Pete, you're gonna have to help me out here, because I've got two guests by the same name, and the name on here is not the same. So
we have Mr. Steve Donoso from
Gotcha.
The Shadowed Circle is with us, and we're going to talk about the newest project. Of course, you guys should remember that we've discussed this before, the Shadowed Circle Compendium. This is the first one. I am a contributing writer to the compendium, and very proud of that, since all you guys know I'm a big Shadow fan. And Steve's here to talk about the Kickstarter campaign that is just doing phenomenally. And Steve, welcome back to IFB. How are you?
Thank you, Pete. Good. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Even better now that you're here and we can hear you and see you. And we are excited to know more about the Kickstarter and the whole campaign. Now, this was the first Shadowed Circle compendium. There is the second one commemorating the 95th anniversary of the Shadow, and it's out there. Bring us up to speed. Tell us what's going on in your part of the world.
Well, before I do that, I want to, in a small way, just link it to some of what Bert said, because the history of the Shadow was that he was a World War I ace.
Oh, wow.
That's right. Ken Allard.
And he flew solo missions. He did not fly with a team. And he even crashed his plane purposely in Germany and destroyed a German airfield and stole a German plane to get back. which is a dangerous thing to do because you can get shot down by your own troops.
That's right. World War
One.
Familiar.
Yes, but then after the war, he turned to fight against crime, both criminal gangs, corporate crime, and sometimes groups that got access to advanced technology. So there were science fiction elements as well. So the first Shadow Circle compendium, which Pete was holding up, we did, and Michael Uslan very kindly did the introduction. If you don't know Michael Uslan, he has produced every Batman film in existence since Batman Begins.
Cool.
And he wrote some Shadow comics as well. He's a large Shadow fan, large Batman fan, and there's a big connection between Batman and the Shadow, because the Shadow basically borrowed a lot from, Batman borrowed a lot from the Shadow. So the second compendium, we're planning to do even a larger version than the first. The first had 6 new articles, and then some articles from the first 6 or 7 issues of the Shadowed Circle, which is our journal. It comes out 3 times a year. But the new compendium has 12 to 14 brand new exclusive articles, plus some articles from the Shadowed Circle that have appeared before. The difference is the journal is black and white with color covers. It's 7 by 10. The compendium is 8.5 by 11, and it's in full color. So that's it's just another cool way to do it. We've done 2 compendiums and then a 3rd book. The Kickstarter is going well. We're about $2,600 away from our second stretch goal, which will allow us to add 20 more pages for a total of 30 new pages to the book, and we hope to reach that. There are great articles in there. Anything from David Avallone, who's a comic writer, who did a series combining 2 of my favorite, The Shadow and Rod Serling. So The Shadow enters the Twilight Zone. A great 4-part series where he confronts himself and as people who enter the Twilight Zone typically do. I did another collaborative article. I did a collaborative article in the first book about if you were going to a desert island, what 6 shadow stories would you bring with you? This one is another group of 20-something shadow enthusiasts, 21, maybe 22, writing about if a shadow TV series is done, either live or animated, what stories would you choose and why would you choose those for a series specifically? How would they transmit? How would they translate? And so that's always a lot of fun to hear from people. We have people like pulp historian Will Murray, pulp and popular culture historian participating, and others as well. What else? Ask me questions, Pete.
Well, I'll tell you, Steve, the idea here that this other compendium, the second one, is also kind of timed around the fact that it's the 95th anniversary.
Yes. So this year is the 95th anniversary. And in 5 years, it'll be the 100th anniversary, amazingly enough. So it began in 1931 in the Shadow magazine. It began a little before that on the radio, but really it was just a voice. It wasn't a character. It wasn't fleshed out. It was just a voice that would come on and narrate a story on the radio sometimes. But Walter Gibson took that and really fleshed it out in the magazine. So we're celebrating the 95th anniversary. We have a 95th anniversary coin that our art director designed that's available as an add-on. We have these incredible holographic cards, which are large format cards on thick stock with a holographic front by artists. And we have great people working on it. One of the fun things is that we have a lot of readers in the U.S., but we have readers around the world and contributing artists. We have an artist, Marcin Nowatzki, is from Romania, and he contributes a lot of his amazing art that he does. We have Arthur Penteado, who writes from Brazil, does beautiful pieces. And we have readers in Belgium, Denmark, the UK, Canada and Australia as well as the US.
Wow.
So
the fandom is truly worldwide.
Oh, absolutely. Tipsy, is it possible for you to pull up the actual Kickstarter so that everybody can kind of see a little bit of that? Because it's very comprehensive. The campaign is set up, the rewards. I mean, you've done this before, Steve. This is not your first rodeo. Everything that you've done, Kickstarter and Shadow has been a success, no questions asked. And you've actually succeeded here again with this one, the second, and it's going places. And like you said, we're quickly approaching the next stretch goal, because the first stretch goal you met, and I believe was extra 10 pages, and now we're looking to add another 20 pages to that. Ultimately, the compendium will make its way, I believe, to Amazon. Is that correct?
Yes, it will.
So this is nothing new to the fans, right? Everybody out there knows that a lot of times this is how you have to start. This is where you get your, anchored, right? This is the springboard. A successful Kickstarter campaign will then open it up so that this can make its way onto some of the bigger publishing platforms like Amazon, but it has to start somewhere.
Yes.
And the fans have spoken, Steve, and it's moving, it's going, it hasn't stopped.
It's coming in fits and starts, but yes, it is moving definitely. Although that will make it to Amazon, but one of the special add-ons we're doing is a book called Shadowed Sketches, and about half of it's all art. It's 8.5 by 11, but that book is only available during the Kickstarter. It won't be available afterwards online at Amazon or any place else. And so that's something we're limiting. We also have a flicker pin. I don't know if you remember as a kid, flicker rings, but this is a shadow flicker pin. It's a lenticular pin. So you shift it and you get another view of the shadow. We have a 3 art print set of Marcin Nowatzki's work. So we have some great add-ons. Great articles on all kinds of aspects: radio, comics, pulp.
Steve, I'm not sure. Well, I'm pretty sure, but I'm going to let you answer this. There is, if I'm not mistaken, one of the classic shadow artists that worked on one of the series back in the day in the 70s that kind of pretty much brought the shadow back to life and brought him into the DC comic world, which is that's how I met him. I met the shadow through the visual shadow through the DC comics, and I'd read some of the old pulp books. I'd listened to a few of the shadow radio shows, but once I saw the comic book. And, there were other shadow strips, but they weren't as good. There were other comic books that were, done in a very early and primitive style almost. But when this series came out, I knew that by then I knew without a doubt the Shadow was my favorite superhero, bar none. Is he connected to the next compendium or not?
Michael William Kaluta, yes. He's done the back cover.
Oh boy!
Compendium, and we have a kind of noir-like piece that he wrote that was serialized over 4 issues of a shadow comic series called "In the Coils of Leviathan." But we've put it into one piece, and he said he might do a drawing for it as well. And so it's almost a stream of consciousness, the shadow looking at the city at New York. And talking about it. So yes, he is involved, and we're very excited to have him involved as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you for mentioning that.
One of the giants when it comes to the shadow. I've had the pleasure of meeting him at a couple of conventions. I own a couple of the lithographs that he came out with. They're signed, and I'm a big fan of his work. So it's really, really cool, guys. If anyone is into the shadow in any way, there's many different ways for you to get in on the Kickstarter. I know that you've made it accessible, Steve, and I got to tell you that for me as a fan and as a collector, I've gone in on a higher end, but for somebody that just wants like a digital color edition of this second compendium and a couple of the other things that come with it, it's only $20, right? That's a real good, nice entry point. Obviously, you can come in and there's other ways of joining. I mean, you can even just pledge $1 if you want to just kind of help out in a small way. That's much appreciated as well. But
the other amazing thing we have, which is at the other end of the scale, is we have Joe Booth, who's done 4 of our cover issues that he painted. He's painting 4 covers of the Shadow magazine, and there's the Shadow and another character, and you can be the other character.
Whoa!
Yeah. So that's the Angel Agent. That's the highest reward level.
That's really cool.
He will paint your likeness or the likeness of your significant other or partner, whatever you choose. So that will be a Shadow cover. So that's very cool.
That's rare. Those are one of a kind pieces, guys. So look, bottom line is, everyone here should know that from past dealings that I happen to be a very, very big Shadow fan. And Steve, you've come on the IFB before, and we appreciate everything you do for the fandom, right? Because if it isn't like people like you that step up to keep things going and to just move it and keep it alive, even just the journal that you put out, the Shadowed Circle, the articles in here are phenomenal. I mean, just cool stuff from the patches. There are, various military units that have used, the Shadow and, like the history of who they are, what units they are, what the patches look like. So if you ever wanted to get, which I did, from reading the article, I was able to then, yeah, it's not my imagination. Sometimes you see on eBay or somewhere and you're like, oh, that looks like the Shadow. Oh, well, it actually is. And, that was one of the articles in one of the issues here in, the Shadowed Circle. I thought that was great. And you do a really good job. Something that I think was lacking over the years. At one time, there was a lot going on with the Shadow. There was this one time period when it was kind of active, and then it went a little kind of dormant, and then you're helping to bring it back and keep it going. And I appreciate that, and I know the fans do as well because they've spoken. Steve, Kickstarter is it's right there. It says something. So we thank you very much for doing that. What about the future, Steve? Because this is going to wrap soon. And besides the logistics, where do you go from here?
From here, well, we've produced 8 issues of the journal, so we're going to issue 9. For a 10th issue, we're planning something special, which is still in the works, so I can't even say what it is because it's not formed totally yet. But issue 10 will be special. We have a special Kent Allard issue coming up, which will probably be 9.
Excellent.
That'll be focused on him. And we've got lots of contributions, lots of art, and people who want to participate. So this is just going to keep going, and we hope that as we approach the 95th, going to the 100th year, that maybe it will inspire someone to do a television series. Would be great. A film would be also good. Although the trouble with the last film was the vision, and we know that is that they filmed some scenes 3 different ways. They filmed as comedic, as drama, and as somewhere in between. And when someone does something like that, they don't know where they're going. They don't have an idea. And so we're hoping a more focused series or film comes out.
There's eyes on everything that goes on, and especially the successes of. I'm proud to say that you published my last essay in the compendium, and I'm looking the next one. I submitted something, of course, for the next one for the 95th, the second compendium. So we are all anxious to get our hands on this work, and I hope you guys, that are interested, please go to the Kickstarter. We're going to put up a link, so we're going to share that with you. And if you're interested in any way in the shadow, please, this is definitely worth it. I'm not only saying it because I'm a fan, I'm saying it because it is good. Any final thoughts, Steve?
No, I just want to thank people who take a look, who check us out. That's where you start. And I jumped into this during the pandemic. I was under house arrest, kind of almost. And that's how I jumped into it. So get your feet wet, jump in, and see what happens.
Steve, I'd like to ask you to come back when the Kickstarter wraps successfully, and you get the additional 20 pages. I want to come back and we'll look back then, and we'll see how everything is forming, and then maybe we'll talk logistics.
Sure.
Very impressed on how you broke everything down. So if you guys are interested in looking at a Kickstarter that's comprehensive, you scroll through it and you'll see Steve's got where this is going, why you need it, what the breakdown is on the shipping and everything else. So it's very comprehensive, very, very impressive. Steve, we did a crowdfunding for our fan film that we did, The Stranded Warrior. And so we're familiar with how to do one of these. And I'm, very impressed on how you're handling it and the detail that went into this. So congrats to you and to the shadow. So keep up the good work.
Thanks. And thanks so much for having us on. I appreciate it.
And I am proud to say that I am a hardcover agent.
All right,
yes.
Chris.
Excellent.
Here's to you, sir. Because fans to the fleet.
Thanks, Steve. Here's to you.
Thanks. You take care.
Excellent. Well done, Tipsy. Well done. You're gonna appreciate it. You'll see. Right. This is the first one. This is a heck of a book. I got the hardcover one. So proud of being in here. Right. So I'm gonna open this up real quick. Boom. That's my article there, right in there. So, and I had submitted, I submitted an essay for the next one as well. So hoping to see that published in hand. Be so cool. So looking forward to that. Big Shadow fan. So thank you, Steve. We have our next guest is with us. Yep. He's also a returning guest. So Steve Sears is in the green room, and as soon as he is with us. So we're going to be bringing him in, and we're going to catch up. Last time he was with us, Steve came on, and I had Mediocre Modeler had to sit in for me. I was out of town, and I did not get a chance to interact. But nonetheless, Steve, welcome back to IFB. How are you?
Thank you. Doing well. Love the little last part of that conversation with the other Steve.
Yes.
We always
start from the beginning.
Together.
I missed all of it, so start from the beginning. Tell me all about it. No, that's great. There's several unsung heroes from the 1930s and 40s which have gotten their slight, and the Shadow's definitely one of them.
Oh yeah, I'm such a big fan of his. I didn't grow up listening to it. I'm a first generation American, Steve. My parents are Greek and Colombian. So they don't, that's not something they grew up with. So I learned it. Oof. And as soon as I got hooked. As soon as I heard and read about the Shadow, I loved him, and above all the other superheroes. And I always thought it was like a something that was from back in the day, something from the 40s, a different generation. So I was the odd person out, and then you find your community. So
yeah. Greek and Colombian. Wow. Okay. So I want some coffee from your family. That's for sure.
I got to go on a trip, Steve, back in the 70s on the first time I went as a kid to Colombia. And we had family who were bankers, and we got to see some of the coffee fields and the coffee growers. And we got a special tour, and I remember that to this day, and it was incredible to go out and see stuff like that.
Yeah, my dad was a huge coffee drinker, and I was one of those kids that said, well, not for me, until I hit college. And it was like coffee, had to be intravenously administered. And I became a huge fan of it. But my dad, literally, if he showed up somewhere, they would say, oh, get the coffee going. Here comes Dick, because he just drank it nonstop. And so my history with coffee runs the gamut. But Colombian coffee, especially the dark roast, is awesome. But the Greek and Turkish coffees, you can paint a house with that stuff.
Oh, that's totally, yeah. You got to be careful with that.
Yeah. Oof. You'll be awake for
I'm in New York,
1, 2, 3 decades.
Oh, yeah. A little demi-tasse. Yeah, maybe once in a while.
Yep.
Well, Steve, it's really, really cool. I actually am an owner of one of your books.
You're the one.
This is no, I know that. You're just kidding. I'd gotten this as a Christmas present. And you came on the show last time, and I was like, oh, I got his book. Holy mackerel. It's Steve Sears, the writer. This is.
Hold on. I'll sign it for you. Put it up.
Thanks, Sam. Just open it up, right? There you go. Yes.
We'll give you a virtual cookie for that.
Yes, virtual cookie for that. Steve, last time you were on, you talked all about, background, being a waiter, and how you moved your way up, and you gave us a lot of insights. Very cool. And I'll tell you that listening to your last interview with us works as well as an audio podcast. It didn't have to be the visual. Sometimes they don't actually match, but they actually do. They work very well. I know that you worked on a lot of projects. One of them, you wrote an episode of Stingray, and I am a big fan of Stingray. I was, back in the day, it was Equalizer, and then Stingray came out around that time. And I will watch almost every year. At some point, I will put on a couple of episodes, and I have seen your episode several times. And do you have any recollections? I wanted to kind of ask you, like, you wrote this one episode, and how do you did you watch any of the shows, or did they give you the Bible and then you wrote it? I mean, how did you get into the characters?
Way back then, well. In fact, I was on staff with Stingray. I was one of the writers.
Oh boy! Wow.
Now that was back when I started out working at Stephen J. Cannell Productions. So the first show I ever did, as we talked about the last time, was a show called Riptide that my partner Bert Pearl, he and I had just lucked into, and suddenly we were on staff. And because we were in the Cannell company, it was really kind of a mom and pop type of company. It wasn't run like a big studio. And so even though you were assigned to one show, if you wanted to, you could go and talk to one of the producers of Hardcastle and McCormick and say, hey, you guys want a script? I'll be happy to write one. And so we wrote a Hardcastle and McCormick. We ended up wrote a couple of A-teams, ended up on the staff of A-team. All of this was with Stephen J. Cannell. So Stingray came out, and I believe originally Steve had pitched that to Brandon Tartikoff as almost like what Miami Vice became, kind of like a rock and roll type of detective type of thing with a mysterious background. And so I had seen episodes because anything our studio did, our production company did, we of course kept up on it. So I wasn't on staff, I think, for the first 9 episodes, and then I came on staff. Bert and I both came on staff. So yeah, we were involved with that. That was one of the first shows that Steve Cannell did in Canada, in Vancouver, and opened the big studio up there. And I knew about Nick Mancuso, and Nick was just a great actor. I really appreciated him. But yeah, we had a lot of fun on that particular show. And the episode that I wrote, which was called "The First Time Is Forever," is I'm always fascinated with the beginnings of things. the idea that we all come from somewhere. And that was having been a military brat and also having, for a short time, trained as a deputy reserve. One of the things I found by talking to veterans or talking to cops who had been involved in shooting incidents is you never forget the first time that you had to use a weapon on someone. And so that was the approach I had on that. And that the character in this, Stingray, he was unaware that he had PSTD. He had a post-traumatic stress disorder, which had been hidden for decades from that one incident. And then as it opens, you realize that somebody dies because of his inaction, and suddenly it's all triggered and it's all coming back to him. So I wanted to explore that. But I'll tell you, the episode that I just loved, I still love this episode. I didn't write it. All of us kind of did polish work on it. But Larry Herzog actually had written it originally. Larry was also one of our exec producers there, and he had exec produced on Hardcastle. Was the episode where the entire opening is where you see them doing a sting to try to get this scientist away from the bad guys, who I'm sure at that time were Russian.
Yep.
And so you see this entire thing about this particular sting, and it goes, and you're watching it, and it's going flawlessly. He's got this really great team that he's put together, and they're all doing what they're supposed to do. And then at the end of the first act, you realize that's him telling them what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, everything goes wrong. And I still laugh out loud at that. I just think it's a hysterical episode.
It was great. It was like you said, at first it's like it's going ideally, and as you watch the episodes, as you know, like I've said, I've watched them a number of times, but that particular one, almost what. It's reminiscent of a Mission Impossible, classic show or episode. Yeah. What would have happened if something didn't, fall into place like it's supposed to?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. That's like the episode. It's like everything goes wrong and he's got to improvise. And it was great. I thought it was a great show for him to be able to show off. But your episode that you wrote, Stingray, it's like you said, the first time that whole, the manifestation of his background, the PTSD and his dreaming about things. And because you wonder, like you go through it, that's like a second season episode, and there's not a lot of a deep dive into his background, like him and where, he comes from. And, it's always, kind of muddied, but now that, he's troubled. He's like a regular person that has to go through things. And he's got the guilt that, he in the journalist, the guy got hurt, but stuff. I was a really big fan. It's a damn shame that it didn't go on. And they didn't have they were like truncated seasons. It would have been cool if they had gotten, like bigger seasons, maybe to explore it some more. Do you know what actually was it? Just the ratings, or was there anything else?
No, actually, the ratings were doing fine. Back then, way back then, as I say, when the Flintstones was a reality show, you had 22 episodes a season, and the way we did contracts on those back then is you would usually you get a guarantee of the front 12, so the first 12 episodes. Then you hope for a pickup for the back 9. Usually, if it's a hit show, it just went right through. But the networks always like to have that provision of having to cancel you just in case. So with this one, and I was not in the room and all the details because I was a writer at the time. I was not a producer for that show. But the truth of the matter is that from what I understand it, the show was doing okay. NBC had a lot of other shows that they lined up and they would love to do. But I'll tell you what I think was one of the major decisions is Nick was in every one of those episodes. And, he was acting his heart out. He was really focused on that character and the different characters that his character had to play. And to be honest, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did in those episodes because it's exhausting. Something like that is absolutely exhausting for an actor. I mean, he did it. He did it. So yeah, I think we kind of wore him out. And just when everything was put on the table, obviously the final decision was with NBC, and they just decided to go ahead and move along.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I know that he went on to teach acting at NYU, and I'll tell you, Steve, when I found that out, I believe he had, done his run, but I was so tempted to hike down. I'm in New York City, so I was gonna, man, if I find out where he is, I'm gonna go get his autograph. I'm gonna pretend to be a student just to get to meet this guy. If I could sit through one of his classes, I thought that would have been so cool. I was such a fan of his work and of course the show, but that kind of comes from people like you. You created those scripts and those ideas. Um, there's been other shows that got to, I don't know about wrap up, but they got to continue like another season
Mhm.
in graphic novel. Would would you have ever thought of doing something like that? If you could revisit that, would you be able to, say, hey, let's do like Stingray rides off into the sunset. Maybe we'll write like, what would that kind of entail? Would you be interested in something like that?
I don't know. That's interesting. The idea, I mean, at its basis, it's the idea of the good vigilante coming in to serve justice when the law cannot do the job. And there were several series that kind of did that. Equalizer was one. You mentioned Equalizer. A-Team was basically something like that.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, I think it would be great. And that's not just a personal thing. I think it's one of those things that the stories can relate to. There was a mystery though with Stingray that would be, I don't want to say hard to replicate, but it might be one of those things that was just at the moment. I mean, the real question was, even though I did that episode of the first time that he had, killed someone, there was always kind of a mystery of like, really, who is he? Where does he come from? And the one of the things we had to deal with was if you do too much of that, the audience can't identify. They start to pull back. They identify more with the guest star than they do with the hero because the hero's just coming in with no background saying, I'm going to sling my guns and I'll solve the problems. That was one of the reasons why I'm fascinated with, especially heroes like that, I'm fascinated with where they came from. So to do that in a graphic novel, in one sense, would actually allow us a lot more opportunities to play the darkness. And what's really funny is that the moment you said, now it may have been just the fact that I had a bias coming into the show after listening to you, the moment you said a Stingray graphic novel, the artwork that popped into my head was the shadow. It was the same kind of artwork.
Yeah. Oh,
Stingray
yeah.
was a very noir type of character.
It was.
And the mystery around the shadow, for example, as I remember it when I was reading it, that lent itself very well. That would lend itself very well to Stingray. So
I
keeping
know.
the car in there would be cool too. That was a
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
I had an opportunity to buy that car when we were done.
Whoa, really?
Back
Oh,
then, when you
wow.
shut down a show, nobody thought about keeping props or keeping anything as
Oh,
a souvenir. And I believe we had three of them. Generally, we would have at least three vehicles. We'd have a picture vehicle, stunt
oh,
vehicle, and then we would have, I guess a spare, but just usually one that would sit in the background. And same thing with the A-Team van. And I remember when the show was over, our transportation department just kind of put it out there and said, all right, these things are for sale. You want them?
Oh my
oh,
And
gosh.
yeah, I know. I wish I'd bought the A-Team van, but
Oh
believe it or
heck
not,
yeah.
like the price was like $8,000. That was it.
Oh my gosh. I hate
wow.
myself. I want to be back in time.
Wow.
Take me back
Uh,
in time and let me buy it.
Jeez.
I know.
Steve, I got before we move on, there's another thing that I don't know that you've heard this at all, but you probably have. I would hope you did. The way they ended each episode by showing you, how the behind the scenes and how they're actually filming
Mhm.
was phenomenal. And all I kept thinking was, if I, this, I mean, we had VCR, but I was like, if you could study, those shots, I bet you could really get a hang on what it's like to film something like that, how it gets done, because it was like, behind the camera, and it's they're taking shots, they're doing the setups are there. It's all, I was like, wow, it's behind the scenes, and it was done
Yeah.
really kind of artistically. I thought it was really, really cool. Do you know
Yeah.
who came up with that?
That was probably Steve or Frank Lupo. Or actually Larry. Larry, like I said, Larry Herzog was an exec producer in at the beginning. But
That
I'm
was
sure
so
it was a
cool.
conversation that, you want to make these things unique. It was a decade of action adventure heroes. So how do you make it actually unique? I mean, one of the signatures of Stingray, once again, I'm taking this from I think it was Larry that told me this. One of the signatures of Stingray is that we did use original music.
Mhm.
Unlike Miami Vice, which was using popular music,
Right.
which I'm not going to diss them for that. I love that. So we were using our own original music, original songs. But if you'll notice, there were times when like Stingray might down a long hallway, and he comes around the corner, and you're hearing that music, and then as he walks up the hallway, you're doing kind of jump cuts, boom, 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 as he moves up the
Yeah,
hallway.
yeah.
Now that became kind of a signature. Now, as I was told in the pilot when they shot the scene where Nick is walking up a long hallway. And they just sat there going, come on, oh my God, this is a long scene. We have to have this scene. And somebody said, I got an idea. And that
Nice.
became a motif. That became part of the series because it works so
Wow.
well.
That's incredible. For the record, Steve, there's two shows that did a graphic novel for their, follow-up after they had been, canceled. Jericho and Stargate Universe both came out with graphic novels for their, wrap up,
Right.
third season. And yeah, hey, I don't know. I put that out there as a fan, but I know
Was
that
Jericho, was that Joe Dante's series, Jericho?
off the top of my head, I don't remember, but it was a good one, and I'm gonna be rewatching it because it's that
Okay.
post-apocalyptic. There's
Oh yeah,
plenty
that was a
of
good.
I
yeah,
think
good
that
stuff.
was.
But the last time you
Hmm.
came on, Steve, just because we need to get on to a couple of things. You left us with uh 2 to 3 projects in development. Stalag X is part of something that you were also working on, and you kind of left it with you weren't sure where it was if it was going to have more legs or not, and something about publishing and where it was going to go or not. And so I wanted to make sure that we talked about that. Plus, you have a couple of new projects that you gave us some graphics on. So I want to make sure we cover all of that.
Sure. Well, Stalag X, this was the Emerald City cover of Stalag X. Da-da-da.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And the interior art, Mike Terra, just like,
Ooh, look at
I
that.
mean, really detailed stuff. I mean, he's a wonderful artist, and it's kind of weird. He's got his own specific style, which it's one of those things that if you look at it and you can pass by it very quickly, but the moment you start studying the detail, you're just sucked right into it.
Nice.
But Stalag X was something that Kevin J. Anderson and I developed. And for those of you who don't know Kevin J. Anderson, Kevin is an author, and he is 26 million books he's sold around the world. He and Brian Herbert write all the Dune sequel books, and he has his own series. He does a lot of, I think he did the X-Files novelization and a bunch of tie-ins like that. And Kevin and I met at a convention. Literally, it was a convention in Cleveland where when all the guests were on stage, and there were about 8 of us, if you took out all of our friends and family from the audience, we outnumbered the audience. And it was an unfortunate thing. It just happened that way. So we had a lot of time to get to know each other. And Kevin and I hit it off. And so we had originally developed this idea called Stalag X, originally thinking of it as a TV series. And then it kind of morphed into a graphic novel. And the top line spin on it is that it is a concentration camp in the future where there's a war of genocide between humans and an alien species called the Krail. And neither side takes prisoners. It is a blood feud. It is literally a species blood genocide feud. Nobody takes prisoners. And so we have one character who is taken prisoner and put into a concentration camp, which the Krail are running that have humans. And nobody knew about this. And they begin to realize, he realizes, that the only reason they would have this concentration camp, where they're, by the way, they're doing horrific experiments, is that the Krail don't think they're going to win this. They're still trying to find something. When it's, in fact, everybody thinks that they're going to win it. They've been kind of, kicking our asses across the universe. But apparently there's something else going on. And the mystery kind of unveils around that and who the different characters are. And of course, this guy coming in there, it's a little bit of the movie Stalag 17, where the character comes in and everybody's suspicious of him, think that he might be a traitor, he might be working for the Krail. So anyway, we developed this as a novel, and it went through two publishers, the Dable brothers, and then Gestalt Publishing, and then ended up at the Vault. And the Vault produced that particular copy there, the hardback. And then one day we got a call. It had gone out. It was out there on the shelves. And we got a call from Francis Lawrence. And Francis Lawrence is the director who has directed all but one of the Hunger Games movies. He did Constantine, Red Sparrow, which is one of my favorite movies. He wanted to take on the rights and see if they could make a film out of it. So we agreed to that. A lot of this you already know because we covered this in the first thing. So anyway, so Francis took it. COVID hit. It was in limbo for a while. Then it ended up with Francis over at United Pictures Entertainment, I believe. I always get that mixed up with another company. And it is still there, still in development, still being optioned. In fact, I think we're coming up to an option period, and we'll see whether he wants to continue with it. And Francis is great. I mean, I really appreciate him, not just as an artist, but the way he runs things. I knew about his movies, but I went out and took a look at some of the videos that had been done of interviews with him. And he's very, very accessible. And he said something which is kind of magic to a writer's ears. He asked Kevin and I what we wanted to, how we wanted to be associated with the film or TV series, because basically we're just transferring the rights for this. And, I said, well, of course, I have a television background, so I would expect that I would have access to the television series in some way. And I was kind of broaching it like, is this going to be one of those things where he's like, no writers on the set. And he was like, no, I expect that. And he said, in fact, if you look at most of my films, they are based on underlying literary material, and I always prefer to work with the original writers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, oh, I love you. Oh, please, let's get married. So that's been a good relationship. Now, it's still in limbo. It's still under option. If you ever go to IMDb and take a look at Francis's to-do list, I think he's doing the Battlestar Galactica movie, Constantine 2. He's got just a bunch of stuff to keep busy with.
Wow.
So, we're hopeful. So far, so good. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, there's a couple of other projects, and I hope, Tipsy, if you can pull up some of the imagery for, yes, there we go.
Yeah, Eventide.
Oh, boy.
This is probably the biggest and most expensive thing that I had gotten involved with. Now, this was based on a series of books written by Diana S. Zimmerman. And the books are called Candide. There are 3 books. She originally wrote them for the children's market. I met her because I was lecturing at UCLA, and she happened to be in the class, lecturing about working in television or film. And so we found out that both of us were members of the Magic Castle. So through Brooks Wachtel, Brooks was the one doing the class, and he's also a member. We all got together at the castle and talked. And basically, she was interested in turning it into a TV series. So I had her pitch me the idea. I told her, I said, I don't want to read your books because that's, first of all, that would take quite a while. But secondly, if I hear somebody pitch their idea, often it's much better than if you read it because their passion is right there. And so she pitched me the idea to it, and I fell in love with it. Oh. And it is a huge world. It is a fantasy world, an adventure world. It is a world where we don't call them fairies, but these characters, they are called the Evanari, and they do fly. They do use magic. Magic to them is science. And there are 3 basic kingdoms there. And one of them, Calabayu, the other one is Banshia, and another one is Bardica. And they have all been rivals, sometimes at war, sometimes with heavy politics, but they're all magical. But here's the thing about this land of Eventide. They all adhere to the ancient writings. And one of the things about the ancient writings is that Evenari believe in several certain things that transcend all politics. And one of them is that the Evenari are a perfect race. They are perfect. And in fact, to be imperfect is not just frowned upon, it's illegal. It is the law. Now that means that if you are born with a birth defect, or if you have an injury that can't be repaired, or you're deformed in any way, the sentence is death.
Whoa.
Now, outside of the kingdoms, there is this strange area called the mists, and the mists constantly encroach on the kingdoms. They are pushed back every year by deploying a thing called the gift. You see how complicated all this is? So the people who are deemed imperfect are thrown out into the mist where there's creatures out there called gargolins, and, it's instant death. You know that's the mist themselves, if they come across your lawn will immediately decay. Anything organic is it's almost like acid to it. So the series centers around this one young princess who is very vain and very arrogant because she's perfect. And she ascends the throne after her father dies. But when that happens, one of her rivals does injure her. Now, by the way, I'm shortcutting a heck of a lot here. Now, she controls the gift, which will push the mist back and save the kingdoms. She's also going to be the ruler of the largest kingdom, and yet she's imperfect. So she's thrown out into the mists. And in the mists, she discovers something. There's a fourth kingdom, and it's made up of all the people who were thrown there. And they have a perfect and beautiful utopia. They are people who they're missing limbs, or they're blind, or they have some sort of what we would call a defect, but they call their specialness. And she starts figuring, first of all, she's disgusted by it because she was raised that way. But then she starts thinking, maybe I can use them to retake my kingdom. And then after a while, she begins to realize maybe my kingdom is wrong. Now, this is a huge arc that in a TV series will go about 5 years.
Wow, okay.
In a film franchise, we're talking a huge amount of money and possibly, at least two films to try to cover this. But it is kind of a passion project for Diana and myself. And Diana, by the way, she's one of the people you should talk to as well. She was in the 90s, she was called the Blonde Enchantress. She was the #1 female magician. If you were watching the Carson Show or anything like that, you saw her.
Wow.
And then when the magic began to fade, this is the way she expressed it to me. When the magic began to fade, I couldn't wear the low-cut dresses anymore. She just decided, well, I'm not going to go, gently into that dark night. And she started creating her own corporations, dealing with marketing and publicity, and decided she was going to write these books. And now she wants to explore the film possibilities. She's a dynamo. She's absolutely incredible.
Cool.
So we're in the midst of that. And as you can tell, it's not an easy pitch on this one.
It sounds like an Apple project.
Apple is one of the places we are going to be approaching. Actually, almost every place. We have a full pitch package as a series, including the first 2 episodes. We also have the screenplay that we wrote. So we're going to hit it from both sides on there. And I'm not going to name drop because, for one thing, I don't know if I can. We didn't even officially take it out, and we already had phone calls coming from a few major talent, A-listers, who were kind of like, we heard about this and we're interested. So we'll see where it goes.
What would be your ideal position on the production?
Well, interestingly enough, if it was a TV series, I would absolutely expect to be a part of that because that's most of my background is television. But here's the thing. 2 things about this. Hollywood is very much about what have you done lately? Now, I have not produced a show in a long time. I've done a lot of development, but they kind of look at that and they say, okay, are you going to be the showrunner or not? They're not convinced. And I accept that. That's, one of the isms that, of all the isms that Hollywood likes to pretend they fight, of all the isms, there's one that everybody tends to ignore, which is ageism. That does happen. So with this particular one, I would expect to be a part of it. So would Diana, although Diana says she's not interested in actually running a TV show. And I'm like, oh, never turn down your TV office. Never turn that down. Always have the office. But here's the more important thing. And this is actually in our pitch package. We want, when we do the casting for this, all of the imperfects, we don't want able-bodied actors playing those roles. We want them to be absolutely represented by the people that they are representing. And we also want that behind the camera. We think that the decision-making group should consist of showrunners who can identify with these particular characters. And it's an extremely important thing to us. It's first of all, it would make it so much richer.
Absolutely.
But also, this is the thing I've been kind of fighting for the last 20, gosh, when was it? 30 years. When I first pitched a series that had a disabled character, and the studio wanted to sign a contract on it. And believe me, it was a life story. Somebody I actually knew, and he was disabled. And it was about his growth, including recovering from all of this. And the thing they said when we had the contracts all done, they had one more thing for me to do. And they said, does he have to be disabled? Well, what do you mean? That's the entire story, is his growth around that. And we had a huge argument about that. And I was a little devious in what I did later. But that's been kind of a thing with me, that, the representation, and this is not a woke thing. This improves the actual quality of it. The representation needs to be there from the people who are being. So that's one reason. And when she pitched it to me, I was like, yeah, I love this. I'm on with this.
I'll tell you, Steve, that one of the things that our show here for now, approaching 6 years, over 300 episodes, and interviewing a variety of individuals that, are creatives. One thing that we can tell you again and again is that when you have people that are passionate about what they're doing, what they're making, what they've thought of, when you get a fan that's involved in the creative process, and they are creating stuff from, their background, as whatever it may be, whatever fandom or genre, whatever it is, it shows. It ultimately shows. There's a certain quality that comes with that. And, this choice that you want to make with this, new world building and this new product, it's going to show. It will make a difference in the product in the end. And you'll see how, you'll be able to look at it and say, it is that good because of those that are involved. It does make a difference. Right. And we've seen that.
Yeah. And one of the things I've stressed on any show that I've produced or been a showrunner, is that the creativity doesn't end with the writer's room. It doesn't end with the director. It doesn't end with the actors. It is something that has to permeate an entire production. And I firmly believe that. I was the guy who's pulling cable on the set, he's in that creative world. He is a creative person. And I have been on the set when we've had a huge problem about some creative aspect and how are we going to do this and how are we going to do this. And, one of the grips will come up and say, why don't you just move this over here and get it out of the way? And we're like, oh my God, it's not just a mechanical solution. He actually thought about it.
Right.
So I used to have an open door with my shows. On our first meetings, I would tell our crew that, and most of them were being low budgeted, of course. And I would say, look, we don't have the budget to pay you what you're worth, but I can guarantee you when you watch this series, you're going to see your fingerprints all over it and you can be proud of that. And boy, it's like people respond to that. They want to be a part of that passion.
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely. Wow. So this is one project that you're working on of multiples. I believe you sent us another graphic representation, visual. Tipsy, do you have that one? I'd like to jump into that one as well. So there was, let's see, there we go.
Oh, good. It's not the photo of me drunk at the bar. Okay, good.
That's the last one.
That's definitely the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, this actually is, this is a collection of short stories. And some of them I've thought about pursuing as far as being expanded into graphic novels and things like that. But this was just, I began to explore writing in prose, writing into novels. I'm pretty sure the last time we talked, I'd already been in Jeff Sturgeon's Last Cities of Earth, the Alien versus Predator franchise, Ultimate Prey.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm also writing a couple of novels that are based on old screenplays. Every screenwriter will do that. Eventually, we're going to end up doing that. So I'm kind of playing around with those. But in the process, I just sometimes come up with really weird notions and I have to write them down. And so this particular book is just a collection of short stories. It does not have an overall theme. There's romance, there's horror, there's science fiction, there's time travel, there's ghosts. I mean, it's just kind of like the only overall theme is my bizarre mind and how I look at things and how I write them. Now, the printed version, however, actually in both versions, there's a Kindle version and the printed version. The Kindle version and the print version have my short stories as a short story that Kevin Anderson and I wrote together, or the is actually in the graphic novel, but he just released some of his short stories. I was releasing mine, and we were like, okay, why don't you print it? I'll print it. We'll print them together. But in the printed version of mine is a script, and that script is a script to the first pilot script I was ever hired to write, and it's called Harry O'Fell and the Day Hell Froze Over. Actually, let me rephrase that. The screenplay it's based on that I wrote is Harry O'Fell and the Day Hell Froze Over. The script was called Harry O'Fell, Detective from Hell. And I did that for Columbia Studios and ultimately for CBS back in the middle 90s. And it was just a notion I'd come up with at one point based on something that my ex-writing partner had said to me. And of course, my mind just takes it and makes a story. And I wrote the screenplay. And then I happened to be in a meeting pitching a different idea. And I believe this was CBS. And the person there, the executive said, well, we do 2-hour pilots. Do you have any samples of your 2-hour work? And I happened to have my screenplay. And I went, here, read this. So they read it. And instead of doing my original pitch, they wanted to turn that into a series. And so we ended up signing a deal for that. And I wrote the pilot script for it. And I tell you that script, the screenplay especially, is still popular today. I still have people asking me about it, and it's not been produced. It's still out there floating around, but the character is wonderful, and the basic idea behind it is that Harry O'Fell he's a detective, but he's kind of like a Sam Spade detective. He's completely out of his time. He always dreamed of being Sam Spade, and when his father passed away and left him some money, he opened this old office in an old building, a walk-up. And he's got the secretary who always got the cigarette hanging out of one side of her mouth. But he's the worst detective ever. He's just horrible at this. He has never solved a case. And even the ones that he could solve, he let his heart get involved and decided not to solve it because he found out the person who hired him was an ass or, a jerk. But he's never been able to do this. And his company's about to fold. He's about to run out of money. And his secretary, he promised her a vacation, so he hawks his dad watch so that he can give her some money. She goes on vacation, and he's sitting there, and he's got to give up his dream. And then this guy walks in, tall guy, very distinguished looking. And he says, I want to hire you. And of course, Harry acts like he's busy. So I don't know. I got a pretty big docket here. I got a lot of stuff on the calendar. I might be able to fit you in. So, what you got? What you got? What you got? And the guy says, well, my name is Azrael. I'm the angel of death, and I want to hire you to find Lucifer because he took the key to the furnace, and we can't find him. And of course, Harry doesn't believe this. But then very soon he ends up in the board of directors of Hell Incorporated, which is run by all the yuppies that died in the 80s. And he realizes that, no, this is actually true. Lucifer has disappeared, and he stole like $300,000, and he took what's called the stone. And in some of the mythology, when Lucifer came to Earth, he picked up a stone and dug in the earth to create hell. So this is the stone. And they need the stone, so they can install another Lucifer. So Harry's kind of like, okay, look, I got to be honest with you guys. Why are you coming to me? I'm the worst detective in the world. Even I know I'm the worst detective in the world. And they're like, well, that's why we want you. He goes, that makes no sense. And he goes, look, we can't get in to stoke the furnace. And as hell freezes over, you're going to go from being the worst detective to the best detective in the world.
Excellent.
And that's the basic story of the screenplay. And I basically just kind of played out an embezzlement story where he's tracking down a guy, except I put a lot of theology and supernatural in it. So I wrote that as a screenplay, and they loved it. CBS loved it, and we made a deal, and I wrote the pilot script for it. So that pilot script is actually in that book. Hey, there it is. It's in there.
Ooh, and it's on Amazon, right?
It is on Amazon, yes. Amazon.
Hey, Tipsy.
I know you're reading this real quickly, so here,
link
there's another
is in
page.
The chat.
Okay, we got the link.
Oh, there
in
we
the
go.
chat.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
So there's that one.
Steve, I need you to give me your gut as to why it hasn't been made. What is it that's, I mean, besides just the money, it's like, why not? I mean, this is great.
Don't know. That is the mystery. If we had the answer to that, it's trends, it's the right place, the right time, it's representation. I do not have actual representation at the moment, but that's fine. This thing has been out since the 90s. And it really is. It just depends on when things hit and when they don't. Every screenwriter has a stack of scripts. And what do you do with them? You bring them out every now and then. You say, oh, I need to touch this thing up. And then you kind of put them back in there. Harry has endured because of people who read it back then. And they still ask me about it. And every time they do, if they're in a position, I'm saying, hey, it's available. You can do whatever you want with it. And who knows, maybe one day I'll just say, screw it, I'll raise the money myself and I'll do it just for the heck of it. But you don't know. You have absolutely no idea.
Steve, where does a sizzle reel come into play on something like that? Is that something that you would pursue, or is it worth it, or how does that resonate with you?
Well, sizzle reels are popular. Sizzle reels being basically a teaser for the movie or the series. Here's the thing about sizzle reels. If you're going to do them as live action sizzle reels, it has to look as if you have shot the entire movie and you've only pulled clips from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've unfortunately seen a lot of sizzle reels where you can tell it was, I want to say amateurish, but because we all start out as amateur. But obviously there was not a lot of experience to it. The lighting is wrong. The music is that plunking guitar thing, plunk, 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 which I hate. It's kind of like, trust the characters, trust the actors, trust the dialogue, trust the director. You don't need to cover it. You don't realize that silence is actually a note. It's how you do the music. It's not just throwing it in. Another one of my little beefs. So to do a sizzle reel correctly, you really have to put a lot of effort and money into it. Now, having said that, I've seen some amazing sizzle reels that people have done. A few that I've seen that I've actually called the person who made it, and I said, look, I don't have a position here to be able to place it, but you're going to tell me how you did this. Oh, my God. And there was one that I swear when I saw it, I swear I looked at this thing and I said, this is an $80,000 sizzle reel at best. And it was like $26,000. The guy had just done it for 26. And I actually took that and I sent it off to a few studio heads that I know, just saying, you got to take a look at this. I don't know if you're going to do anything about it. My hands are off once I make the connection, but you got to take a look at this. So they're very difficult to work. Now, do they work? Yes and no. Again, it's who you hit at the right time. And there are so many sizzle reels out there, we now take it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Back when they were unique, they stood out. But we do have short attention span syndrome that's been going on for the last 40 years. It used to be you would send an entire script and they would read it. Now it's like, okay, send a treatment or a pitch package. Okay. All right. Now just send a video of you doing something with it. Okay. Now just produce the movie and we'll consider it. So
there you are. Wow.
So it's not an easy one, but it does come up in conversation. I have considered it. Some people will go to animation to try to do that. The problem is you lock the people into thinking you're doing animation. AI obviously is very topical right now. A lot of people are doing AI, but there's a push-pull on AI, and it's not as good yet as people think it is or want to think that it is. I'm not saying it won't get there. But again, we're getting used to it. We're seeing it. So if somebody sends me a sizzle reel, you got to look better than any other sizzle reel I've been getting.
Okay, very good. Appearances, Steve. Where are you lecturing, panels, conventions, signings? You got to be out there. What's the next one?
Um, and I do. I have a few places I'm appearing this year. Last year was just a cluster of stuff. I was at the Xena convention last year and a thing called the Xenite Retreat. Xena, of course, being still with some of the most amazing fans. The fandom is just, I am in awe of the Xena fans. They really are cool people. I really do like hanging out with them. So I did those last year, but literally the beginning of last year, we had the firestorms here in LA. My wife and I had to evacuate, but not before a tree fell down and hit me. Boom.
Whoa.
And then, oh yeah, yeah, I was stupid. I was standing out in the backyard videoing the trees going back and forth. And my wife is saying, come in, come in, come in. And I said, okay, I got it. And we heard this big crack. And then boom, I was on the ground because a tree fell over, didn't hit the house. It was only stopped by an oak tree. I mean, literally would have crashed through our kitchen. But when it hit the oak tree, the top kind of fell off and some branches came down and a couple of big ones managed to find me. I was fine. And then I had a surgery done in January, which was cancerous, and they had to take it out, and they did all the biopsies. Everything so far is fine. All the tests have been negative since, but I have to keep an eye on it. So that clustered up that, and since I'm mentioning that, I got back into acting, which is kind of a side story, but a lot of fun. So the bottom line with all of that was that I didn't do as many appearances last year as I usually do. This year, what am I doing? I'm doing the Xena Convention, which will be in New Jersey this time. So if you're on the East Coast, come on out. Yeah, hang out with us. That'll be awesome. I am doing MisuCon, which is in Missoula, Montana, which is kind of cool. It's apparently a very large convention, and of course, it attracts a lot of people from the states around there, the plain states, which are not plain at all if you've ever visited them. So I'm looking forward to doing that one. As I mentioned, there's a thing called the Xenite Retreat, which is more like a camping weekend, where Xena fans literally show up and they have Amazonian archery and it's all the stuff that's from Xena. So, it's kind of like when the Buffy, they get together and do their Hellmouth. It's very similar to that. What was the other one? And I've got another one scheduled. And it's kind of cool that I can't think of all the stuff I'm supposed to do. But there's another convention that I've been talking to. Yeah.
And I know you've mentioned teaching. Are you going to be doing any of that? Any master classes or anything like that?
I don't have anything scheduled. I used to do UCLA at the end of the year. The person running that class, I don't know if they're running it again this year. If they are, then I'll be doing that. That is primarily an animation writing
interesting.
class. Yeah, Brooks Wachtel, I mentioned him earlier. Brooks teaches that class, and Brooks is an Emmy Award-winning animation writer and producer. And it's funny, the way I met him was during the writer's strike in 2007, I believe. And I met him on the strike line, and we just kind of hit it off. Again, we also found out we were both members of the castle, or at least I had been to the castle. I wasn't a member just yet, Magic Castle. So we kind of hit it off, and I knew about his background. He knew about mine. Just by coincidence, about a month later, I was at a company called Cookie Jar Entertainment. And Cookie Jar did a lot of things like Strawberry Shortcake, a lot of animated series. But they decided they were going to go scripted and more adult, more action adventure. So they called a few writers, including myself, to come in and pitch ideas for live action series. In the process of pitching it, my idea, the president of the company, Topper Taylor, he just said, I'm going to run some things by you. Just give me your reactions. And he just ran titles by me, and I gave him my reactions to it. And then as I'm driving home, my agent calls me, and he says, so what happened? And I said, I pitched the series. And he goes, no, what happened? No, what do you mean? And he goes, well, you sold your series. And I went, great. And he goes, you also have two pilots. They gave you two more pilots.
Wow.
One of them was live action and two animation pilots. Now, I'd only written one episode of anything animated, Itsy Bitsy Spider. I'd only written one. So I was like, I don't know how to do an animation pilot, but I know somebody who does. And so I called Brooks and I just went, Obi-Wan, please come save me. And so he gave me a little bit of instruction on how to deal with the animation differences from live action. And so as a result of that, we became very close friends. And every time he does his classes, if he wants me to come in and talk, absolutely, I'm always there for him. So I've got that one coming up. I sometimes lecture with the Mensa organization, but I'm not sure. It's still early in the year, but that's always a fun one. People mistake. They think that Mensans are just always, these very, very intelligent type of, we know everything. They party. They party hard. I love it. We have a lot of fun there. It's a really good group of people, and they just want to know everything. So you can get up there and you can just lecture about, first time they asked me, I'm like, I don't know anything. Why? I don't have any accreditation. I was an actor. I got a degree in acting. So I don't even have any accreditation in writing except for my career. And they just said, no, just anything. And I realized, yeah, they love information. And so my first lecture was actually about the very, very fine line between entertainment and propaganda. We both do the same thing. We manipulate people. We manipulate their emotions. We guide them. We make them angry. We make them happy. And if you do it for entertainment, that's one thing. But every dictator in history has done the same process.
Interesting.
So fear me.
Interesting. Yes, there are undergrad and graduate classes that go into that in depth. Very cool. Steve, we are running out of time on our show. However, if you're so inclined, we want you to come back. There's a couple of things that we've left open amongst the millions, but school and the business, your acting career, your other projects, writing, how you process that, what's the methodology? Love to pick that apart and learn from some of your experiences. So there is a lot more that we would love to get into. So if you're so inclined, we want to have you back.
Absolutely. I think you've probably figured out I'm a bit chatty.
We love it. That's
Bert, what did I say? I think I might have said this. Remind me, Bert. I think I said this last time was, if you ask me the time of day, I'll give you the history of the watch, which is somewhat true. I'm a total geek for information and knowledge, so I'll just go off. So it's not so much, can we get him to speak? It's kind of like, can we shut him up? But happy to oblige.
Oh, we love it. Thank you so much, Steve. You've done so many cool things out there that we are fans of, and so we appreciate it on a different level. So thank you very much for indulging us and taking the time out. I think the fans enjoy it just as much as we do, and thank you for taking time out.
Absolutely. No, this is fun. When you said you want to be back, I was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it.
Cool.
So I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank to everybody out there watching. This is good experience for me, but listen to the other things that don't have me in it. I tell you, I seriously was. I came in early and I'm hearing the end part of the shadow, and I'm sitting there, I've got everything turned off, and I'm going like, yeah, why aren't they doing this? Why isn't this happening?
You hope so, man. I'll tell you, the biggest, Michael Usland, he's the ace in the hole, man. If anybody can pull it off, it's got to be him. And I don't know. I'm sure he's thought about it, but he's just got to shake the tree a little bit more. But
I've been spoken to Michael for a long time because he was he also owned the rights. He owned the rights to Batman.
Right.
He and Benjamin Melniker. The other character they own the rights to?
No.
Swamp Thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I was producing Swamp Thing, their names were up there. And the one time I met Michael back then when he brought his family down to the set. And I ran into him at Comic-Con, and I reminded him of that. And he goes, well, we have to get together sometime, which of course we just run into each other at conventions. But yeah, Michael's your guy. Michael's your
Oh
guy.
yeah, he's the first to ever actually teach the history of comic books on the undergrad level. It's a fascinating guy. But so
he's a
are you.
Geek. He's a total nerd and geek, and I love it.
Well, you're the same thing, Steve. We love it. We love that, and that's why we like having you here. Tipsy, any parting?
No, it's just it's fantastic that would it be fun to get in his head for a couple of hours? Anyways, yeah, just
like a brain worm.
That's it, right? Just can we download your consciousness? I want to see how you get it. But thanks very much for coming on. I think I'm really inspired by the different genres and the different writing. I mean, writing is like I said, I think is the person that kind of starts the story to begin with. There's the writer, and then there's the director, and there's the actors, and there's all this. But without the writer, without the person who creates that universe, without the person who believes in that universe and expands it, you don't have a story. So
I agree.
Thank you for doing what you do.
Everybody should remember that you are dreamers. Everybody is somebody who dreams of wonderful things and adventures. Some people do it with a typewriter. Some people do it a keyboard, other people perform it. But we are all storytellers at our core.
Yes.
And I tell everybody, if you got a story in your head, don't think about whether you can sell it or what you're going to do with it. Just write it down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You never know.
Oh, amen to that.
Good word.
Here's to you, Steve. And
take care, sir.
Thank you very much for coming on, like I said, and looking forward to the next one. And we always have a little ending that we do, recognizing the fans at the end. So, Tipsy, you want to walk us through that?
So everybody, fans feel the fleet, sir.
Here's to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Great stuff, man. Isn't that so cool? Wow. Really, really cool.
Are we off right now? Or are we still on here?
Oh no, we're just about. There's one more button. One more button. Let her rip there.
Good.
I missed the button. All right, here we go.
Take care, everybody.
Yep, take care. See you next week. Don't forget to tune in next Thursday. Same bat channel, same bat place, same bat time. And until then, stay safe and keep.
See you at Shore Leave.
Yep.